Hi, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I'm a bereavement specialist. Hi, Susan. Nice to see you today.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you for coming this morning. I'm Susan Capurso, End of Life Doula and Legacy Specialist. And today we're talking about a subject that's really relevant for all families. We're going to be talking about ways to help and support your family in grieving a little bit better after a loss. So, in the past, we've spoken about how differently people grieve, of course, and sometimes it does have to do with their age. However, regardless of a person's age, we all have different personalities, and that's a key to remember. We will all grieve a little bit differently from another person in the family. Our families are so different. Some are strong and silent type, but then struggle more on the inside and don't let anyone in. And others are more emotional and cry and are angry a lot of the time, and they never seem to heal properly. All of this is okay because as humans, we're all a little bit different and there aren't any rules. However, today, Lisa and I hope to share with you a few ways to support your family after a loss. And I just wanted to point out before we get started, Lisa, that there are those 7 stages of grief after a death. Now, we don't talk about, well, we have to go through these individual stages, but somehow they flow, they end up unfolding and flowing through each phase, but not for everybody, right? Not everybody's going to go through each one of these stages. So I wanted you to be aware of them today. So I'll list the 7. The first one is shock and denial, which we know that's pretty much we all go through that one. There's pain and guilt. There's depression and loneliness and reflection. There's then an upward turn where you're feeling just a little bit better. There's reconstruction of the way life and changes unfold. And then there's acceptance and hope. So today, Lisa and I want to talk about a few things to help with your own family when it comes time to grieving the loss of a friend or loved one, right?
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah,
also want to point out that even before that death, the family is going through the trauma of end of life,
that's right.
understanding that there is something that's going to happen and somebody's going to be gone. And so how they deal with that is also another consideration. Some people deal differently with diseases. Some people deal differently with pain, shock. If a death has happened very, very fast. So sometimes the circumstances may determine it. Also, birth order. Different people in different stages. I'm an only child. So all my deaths were experienced alone, and I didn't share, anything with anybody else other than people who cared about me, and they knew that. But I think there needs to be a communication, such an important part, communication, to find
Of
out where
course.
everybody's at and come together as a family unit. Sometimes that person who now is no longer around was the glue. And all of a sudden, the whole family
Yeah,
becomes unglued.
unraveled, right.
Unravel. That's right. That's right.
Right. And I know and you know firsthand from the changes in our own family's dynamics how things can change significantly. But the important part, we're talking about families today and how to help your family. Okay, whether it's a grandparent, an aunt, a cousin, even a good
Mhm.
friend of the family. And I think the important part is really to be present no matter where they are, the other person in the family, because they could be all over the place and in a much different place than you are. But to meet them where they are, go with them, even through their tears and their quiet time, and let people vent and communicate with you in open and honest communication, because that's how the healing process will start to take place.
Yes. So people don't listen to others. That's the first thing. And the second
Mm-hmm.
thing is that people expect that they're going to feel what they feel. And that's just not true. That's just not the way it works. As you said,
Right.
we're all different people. So I want to go back to the first book that I wrote. And the reason why I wrote it is because my husband was going through pancreatic cancer. And, when he died, I wanted to support other people, families who were going through the same thing. And I called it, It's a Family Affair, because I realized that the entire family was impacted by those months that he was really sick. And we all, my children responded differently. And relatives responded differently as well. And so that book interviewed 20 families, and each of the families discussed how they were all dealing with it differently. There was one like advocate. That person did the research. That person found out what else to do about this. What are the options and all. Then there was, maybe somebody else who, couldn't even function with the whole thing. They were in denial, it's not really going to happen to this person. So it's really interesting to me and eye-opening how the family was impacted in all different ways. And it was difficult, challenging to come together with an understanding of a family unit, which if you have the privilege of knowing enough time and be able to pull that family together, you can do amazing things with those last, times, those last days. But if not, you're at each other, feeling guilty, feeling angry, feeling frustrated, and it doesn't help the situation at all. And that's just that part. Now, the other part is that second book that I did, which was Families Move On. And that traces how people in different families move in different directions. Some just sit with this thing and they're angry, they're guilty, or all those other things. And they sit there and they can't move. And others have moved on. And then children don't even understand. Like, I had one person who dated only 4 months after his wife died, and his children were really upset at him. But that's how he was able to move on. That's how he coped with her death. And didn't mean he loved her any less. So
no. So that's one of the big things, though. That's one of the big things to remember, that just because you feel that way, or you have certain attitudes or feelings about loss, which you've accumulated over your years, doesn't mean that anybody else in your immediate family will feel that way. They've gone through their own experiences. So it's really important to put your feelings aside a little bit and don't judge. Don't judge them. And because there may be anger, like you said, there could be outbursts, there could be, behavioral changes. And it's all because they're not going through the process, the healing process, like they should. So it's time to really, instead of judge and talking more about how you're feeling and how you're going through this, let them speak, but really hear them.
Yeah.
Really hear them, because it's okay that they have their own feelings about grief, no matter how silly you think they are. They're valid to them.
Yes.
Right?
And it also brings up a lot of things in childhood, especially if it's like a parent, so I used to do this, or I used to do that, and mommy liked this, and it brings up all kinds of things that have not been resolved.
Yeah,
People
absolutely.
need to understand that.
Absolutely. Another way to help your family during this time is to really speak about the person. And a lot of families don't do that. They get quiet and they feel that we'll heal better if we just don't talk about it. Don't talk about the elephant in the room, but it's not true. That's not the way to heal. You really, really need to speak about them, to say their name.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To say their name out loud, and to bring up memories and remember whens.
Yes.
I was big on that with my kids all the time. I would be doing something in the house, or to do with food or anything, and I'd say, oh no, remember when daddy did this or said this, because I'm trying to keep his spirit and memories alive for them.
Yes.
It's easy not to talk about them, right? And to get quiet in your own self and think you're healing yourself. But that's not the way the dynamic should be with everybody.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
And there are ways of bringing the family together, whether that's watching family videos, which are really cool, or looking at family pictures and portraits and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of, really special things to do, just like even having a family trip. Maybe a place that they love to go to, and it brings back memories of who they are and what they loved or something.
And
again,
validate their feelings. That's so important because their feelings are important too. And they could be suffering from something like embarrassment, like they're embarrassed that they're hurting, and it leaves them feeling anxious or fearful, in doing little things every day. And it's important to validate them and say that this is okay. We need to go through this. We
right.
need to go through this grieving process in order to come out the other end.
That's
Right?
right. That's right. And then again, watch personal assaults, because it may bring up all kinds of personal things. When mommy did this, it's really dangerous stuff, but that's
Yeah.
what comes up from these things. And the
Right.
dynamics are going to change, because all of a sudden that person's role, so important in the family unit, is now
It's
gone.
just now gone. Right. Right. So the changes are there, to help feel a little bit more peaceful. They're not gone. They're not gone. There's just changes that are happening now. And we need to roll with the changes and help all those feelings and emotions to just flow as they should, but to just roll with it. And, by helping, you can help your family members in little things, in the day-to-day things, right? And offer them practical support. Practical things every day, just to be a little more gentle and a little bit more easier with each other, to show that you care. And maybe you can be the one to help facilitate that a little bit, because maybe nobody else can. This one's over there, that one's over there, that one's not coming home because they're annoyed, so you may have to be the one that pulls the branches together a little bit to stay connected.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes that means like a family conference.
Oh,
There's a lot
yeah.
of family conferences for people who are trying to figure out now what's the next step for their family member who's at the end of life. Well, it's the same thing afterwards. Family conference of, well, what are we going to do now? And what really upsets me is that sometimes it comes down to a money thing. They left you this, or they didn't do this, or they, what happened to the jewelry? Isn't that, I hear this so much, and it's
I
horrible to
know.
me that
It is
that's what it comes
horrible.
down. Families that now don't talk to each other anymore because that other family came in and took that money, or this should have gone, and this business should have gone to this. Horrible.
Or the
Horrible.
ring or the bracelet. We come into this world with nothing, and we're leaving without anything either. We really are. And these are petty things in life that let it go. Just let it go. Another way to help your family really is to encourage distraction. Right? Sometimes a person needs to feel normal for a little bit, whether it's a day or an afternoon or a few hours. Get them out of their space. Being in the same space day in and day out can leave you with that overwhelming, sad feeling. Getting them in the car and taking a ride across town really is a distraction, but it will help. It will help with the sadness a little bit. Do you agree with
I
that?
do. I do. And I want to go bigger, because a while ago we did about life celebrations. And
Mm-hmm.
coming together with a life celebration, if that person, you wanted to do something that hadn't been done, or, they didn't have any kind of party or anything. For me, right after the memorial service, we made a luncheon, and it was so lovely. It was just such a lovely way of everybody coming together. And some people don't do any of that stuff. And I think that it's very helpful to people to come together that way. And it's a unifying thing.
It depends on the family. And I want to throw this out there, just because it's my personal feeling. A lot of people attended my husband's funeral, and I didn't know some of them. He knew a lot more people than I do.
Sure.
And my sister-in-law really wanted to have this big open party at a restaurant and invite everybody. And I didn't want to do that. So it was a little like, I ended up, winning that battle because it was my choice. But I didn't want to do that.
I didn't make an open party. I don't believe in that.
I was just suffering.
I invited people who were close to us, relatives and friends who were close to us. I didn't just want
Yeah.
strangers there, and
We
there
just
were
came
lots of people
and
there.
we came back to the house, and that was fine. And it was small and quiet and intimate. And I would have preferred it that way. She really wanted a big, let's invite people from the old neighborhood and all the old people that I didn't know. And I wasn't happy with that. But so it depends on the family and how you're feeling.
It does.
So whether it's the life celebration or make sure you can help your family make a big deal out of holidays and birthdays afterwards.
Yes.
Keep their spirit alive, right?
Yes.
We talk about that a lot.
We do. And everybody keeps asking, how am I going to do with the first of this and the first of that? Well, there's the answer. You celebrate. And that's the best way that we can show the love that we had for that person who's still in our heart.
And it's
They need to
hard.
be remembered.
Remember that Lisa and I aren't making light of death.
That's right.
We're not. We've been through it. We've hurt. We've been overwhelmed. We get it. But we also understand at this point, after coming through it, that this is life. This is life, and we're here for such a short time. So let's be appreciative for the people we love that are here for the time that they are. And that's that. That's that. We're moving on too.
That's right.
And then there'll be no more videos, Lisa. No more YouTube videos. We need to get in as many as we can now and cover all subjects.
That's right.
But implement strategies that will help with some of these changes. Anything that's going to promote peace of mind for the family. Peace of mind. We just need to feel calm and relaxed and get rid of that fear and anxiety and overwhelm. Yes. We're not saying not to grieve because that's impossible. You need to.
Absolutely. But that an acceptance and understanding of everybody, and that everybody grieves differently and everybody goes through different things. We're all different people. How could we all be the same in how we react to anything in our lives?
And even your blood, your children.
All the time, and some people say, "Oh, that's fine," and other people are just, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they fired me." Every single thing in our lives.
We're all different, right?
We're all different. All different.
People handle things in different ways, and nothing can bring them back. Nothing can undo the situation that's been done.
That's right.
Nothing.
That's right.
So how you move forward and proceed with your families, can change the course for so many people and so many things. Because if it's not properly demonstrated, the healing process, that's when you have children who don't want to come home at night anymore because they can't take the sadness. And those are the children at 40 or 50 years old that talk about their childhoods and how horrible they were and their parents made them this way. So it's important to come together during this death and dying process, yes. To make it a little bit easier for everybody.
It is. So hopefully some of these strategies are helpful to people. And as we've said many times, it really is a lot about communication and listening and really loving those people, Family's family,
It's especially knowing when to get quiet, but not to get too quiet. There's a fine balance there because you can definitely get too quiet and everybody just disappears, into their rooms or back to their homes and nothing said. That's not good either.
Yeah.
It's finding that fine line, I think.
I want to bring up some of the families because I just realized it. Sometimes organizations are built around, of course, a cause, and those causes bring families together too. Every year I walk at the Lustgarten Foundation Walk. And it's all over the country. But what I love about it is that you see all the families wearing the T-shirts and pictures of the people who are now gone from this horrible disease. And they come together. You should see them. They have dogs that they're walking and kids in strollers. And it's a family thing, friends and family. And that's a really great way of, nurturing,
remembering and sharing.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up, Lisa, because you think about it. There's Alzheimer's dementia walks. There's
heart association.
even
Yeah.
suicide, even domestic violence.
Yes.
Find one of these organizations, cardiac, people who have heart failure,
Yeah.
and they do these things. This is what the fundraising is for. So they have events, special events, not just walks, and I do a lot of them myself, but you're right. I attended a melanoma, was it melanoma or
Lymphoma and melanoma. Yeah. Lymphoma.
yes.
Yeah.
And really it was a beautiful thing because the family I went to had lost their mom. So that was their decision to get together every year to try and raise a little money through friends and family for the cause, and then just go there and walk. And they do that. You might have even seen it, Lisa, in Sayville, where they have the candles at nighttime that they light up along the walkway.
Yes.
But there's so many different beautiful things that they do, and there's something empowering and peaceful in knowing that all these other families
Yes.
are there celebrating their losses as well.
Yes. And that they share the same disease, because the disease, you feel like you're the only person, pancreatic cancer is a fatal disease, and hardly anybody ever gets through 5 years. If they're lucky, they're 2 years. And so we see all those people who are all trying to fight and trying to, get new research and all that stuff. And so it's a common kind of cause. And as I said, with the family being together and walking together and friends, it's very empowering.
And you can this is one of the things that we said earlier, to implement, right? So you can implement that, plant the seeds in your family and let them know that this is what I'd like to do. This is what I'd like to do in order to honor this person. And I really want my whole family to take part in it. And they will.
Yep.
They will. And that's a way to bring everybody together.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just realized that as I was thinking about my yearly thing. So,
when we talked earlier about some of the things we were going to talk about, Lisa, we didn't even talk about that. And how could we not? That's really a big part of the grieving process. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
Sure. So in our spare time, we do some other things. I want you to talk about your new healing garden, because that's really very creative.
Thank you, Lisa. The healing garden is a bowl with stones with special messages that I engrave on the stones. And there's 4 themes. If you have a friend with cancer, okay, there's one for that. If somebody's grieving, there's a bowl with nice inspirational messages. And I have one for pet loss and one for just spirituality. And there's directions on each bowl. It's a meditative process. When I lost my husband, I didn't know some of these tools that I use now. So meditation's one, visualization's one, deep breathing, and just learning how to be still. I never knew how to be still because my mind would race a mile a minute in everything I did every day, all week long, all year long. But I learned these tools. So I wanted to come up with some type of product that would help people to learn some of these tools, learn to meditate a little, learn to sit still. So I put the messages on, and you hold the rock just 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, but to concentrate on that little piece of that message or inspiration that's in there. Mm-hmm. So it's a great gift if somebody's going through that particular challenge. So that's been something I've been working on. End of life consulting. I do the story of me, okay, which is a wonderful project. It's a 4-week project where I get together with not always a person at the end of life, but baby boomers who have memories and stories to leave. And it's 4 weeks filled with 10 hours of audio that I compile and transform into a magical books with text and photos and hardcover hard pages, like the wedding albums, the new wedding albums now. I keep saying the new wedding albums. Those hard pages were probably out for 20 years now already.
More
right?
Than that. I have hard pages.
More than that? You do?
Yeah. Yeah. And
I didn't at my time, but
I would have been 44 years married. So
wow. So those books have been around for
they were called library bound at the time.
Okay. Yeah. But it's a beautiful project, and the seniors that I've been working with that are putting this together don't want to end after the 4 weeks. They say, can you come back next week and let's do some more, because we have fun together.
Sure.
And Lisa, some of the things that you do?
Yeah, so I've mentioned the 2 books. They're both on pancreatic cancer, and they both benefit the Lustgarten Foundation. I also do one-to-one, and I'd love to do some groups. As a bereavement specialist, I feel like I have a really good sense of the journey and of moving on with your life. And I'm helpful and supportive of how people do that. So I love that. I enjoy that very
Very
much.
nice. Well, you can reach either one of us on the information above. And we want to thank you so much for joining us today. And again, we're always looking for people to interview. If you have any suggestions for us, please reach out. Shoot us an email, either one of us, and we can get some. We've had some really nice guests on here that offer really informative information, educational. Yeah. So we're looking to do that.
Share and let people subscribe so that they see the new videos that are posted every week. So we hope that people will do that. Yeah.
And thank you for joining. And Lisa, I will see you next week.
Yep. Have a good week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.